almost on the wrong side there. Okay, so now we're doing into P2. So this one's going to be a little bit trickier. P2 now, why is that S so small? I have no idea. That's okay. So with P2, we're going to be attacking percentage word problems. Now, you might be thinking this is the ones we did before in P1, like this is a word problem. 20 is 50% of what number? Yeah, it's got words, and then we had to write it as an equation. But what we're going to be really doing again in our actual lessons is real life word problems. 20 is 50% of what number is not a real life problem. What we're going to be talking about more is going to be in context, like talking about getting a raise or paying taxes or paying interest on something. So we have to be able to kind of see what's going on in the question and pull out the equation in the same way that we did before. We're going to be using those skills, taking is, of, and what, knowing what those are, creating your equation. We have to be very careful. So to review, a percent means nothing unless we know what it is of, right? I have to know what it's of. If I see a percent, my immediate thought should be, what's it of? Because sometimes it's not immediately clear, and you're going to see that in these questions. Now, every time we see a percentage, we have to make note of what it's of, and sometimes calculate that first. I'm going to talk about, you'll see this in our questions, but like I said, sometimes it's not going to be immediately obvious what it's of. It's going to be something you have to actually like multiply two numbers together or subtract two numbers or something like that. So we got to be careful. Sometimes our end goal is actually to find what the percentage is of. Sometimes we're not trying to find the answer. We're trying to find, if you want to think about it this way, what the answer is of. Hi. That's okay. Oh, into Edpuzzle. That's weird. Yeah. Let me see my classes. Yeah. Let me see. And try and create one. Okay, so that's okay. I'm just trying number 2. Let's see. Finance or not. Okay, let's see. Class code. Let's see. Invite students, yeah. Gradebook. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Teachers. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I helped you with this before, but I can't. It does just show invite students for me too. Classroom. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, I see. let's see. People. Yeah, that's so frustrating. Yeah, I can't remember. I thought it was something that's so easy as being like, okay, there's import. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No worries. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through a few of these here. So it says Shayla pays 6.2% of her income towards Social Security taxes. If she makes $800 per paycheck before taxes, how much does she pay in Social Security tax per paycheck? Whew, this looks very scary, especially because we don't know anything about Social Security yet. But with lots of these questions, you don't really need to know. You're like, I don't know Social Security. That's okay because we see a percentage. So we're going to do something with it, right? Now, what we have to do here is we have to be very careful when we read this. And it says she pays 6.2% of her income. So this is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on the of. What is the percentage of? Now, what is her income? What does it say? It tells us $800, right? $800 per paycheck. That's her income. So this 6.2% is going to be of her income, which happens to be $800. So this is why, again, what I'm saying is we have to focus on the of, because this is a very easy question. All we got to do is find 6.2% of 800, and then that's how much she pays in taxes, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's translate this. So 6.2%, what am I going to do that? Divided by 100, 6.2 divided by 100, we should get, be very careful, 0.062. If you do not put that zero, you will have the wrong answer. 0.062. 0.62 would be 62%. What does of mean to do? Multiply. And do we change the 800? No, 800 is good to go. So this whole big scary problem with all of these words and Social Security, which we've learned nothing about, doesn't matter because all I'm doing is multiplying these two together. Now, this is the answer you get, but this is money. So I'm going to go ahead and add a zero and put a dollar sign. So that's how much she's paying in Social Security tax per paycheck. And all we had to do is multiply to get the answer. So I want you guys to try this one. It's going to be the same sort of thing where it doesn't quite tell us directly. It doesn't say 1% of this, but go ahead and read it and give it a try. Okay, so Marco pays a 1% fee whenever he transfers money from the Venmo app. If you don't know what Venmo is, it's just a cash app where you can transfer money to friends like PayPal. Notice it doesn't say of. However, whenever we have this thing where it says a fee, it's always a percentage of how much you're working with, how much he transfers. So it doesn't say of, but it is of how much he transfers. Yes. So sometimes we don't see the word of, but we are smart people. And so we see a percentage and we go, hey, what's it of? Has to be of something. So we are looking for 1% of 160. So if you didn't already translate this, you can do it real quick. 1% gets divided by 100. 0.01. Again, another trick, guys, is a percentage looks like how many pennies that would be. If I have 1%, that's 1 cent, or it looks like 1 cent, I should say, which is that. That's 1 penny, right? Of means to multiply. I'm going to keep checking in with you on that because we cannot forget. So in our calculator, we got 0.01 times 160. We got 1.6. Now, once again, I would take that because I'm pretty flexible, but this is money, so I'm going to put a zero to make it $1.60. So that would be the fee. So that's how those apps work. If you've ever heard any of those PayPal apps, they usually charge like a fee to transfer some money. And that's how they make their money. Let's go ahead and keep going. So this is getting trickier now. We have to focus on, again, the of. That's the most important thing. So let's go ahead. It says, what is 15% of the amount in between 600 and 4,100? This is something when we look at Social Security, this is part of how Social Security works. So all these problems that we're looking at, we're going to actually be seeing later. So let's go ahead and start translating this, because this looks like one of our sentences. So I want you to start trying to translate this. You should be able to get to here. And then you might be a little bit confused about that. Go ahead and give it a shot. Write the sentence. Okay, so what becomes X becomes equals 15%. You promised 15 divided by 100. 0.15. You do not put 0.15, you're getting it wrong. Of means to multiply. But it is of this thing. It does not say, oh, it's of 600 or, oh, it's of 4,100. It says the amount in between those two numbers. What do you think in between might mean, these two numbers? What should I do? Subtract, actually. If I'm trying to find how much is in between two numbers, I actually subtract them and it finds that chunk that's in between them. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just write this in parentheses just so you remember that's what we did. I can go ahead and subtract them here in parentheses. And I can actually plug this whole thing in the calculator. So I've got 0.15 times 4,100 minus 600, as long as I am putting that in parentheses. You should get 525. Or I can subtract them and put the answer there and it's good to go. So again, this relates back to the fact that we are focusing on what it is of. It did not say of 600. So that means we had to do something to find that of, what it is of first, before we can get our answer. Let's go ahead and try this one. This one is going to be a bit more confusing. So Carlos makes $50,000 a year. His federal taxes are calculated by taking 10% of the first $30,000 he makes, and then 15% of anything above $30,000. Whew, this is actually how taxes work, which again, we're going to learn later. Even though we don't know anything about taxes yet, it tells us what to do. It says, how much does he pay in taxes? Well, his taxes are calculated by doing this. So let's go ahead and read through. We are going to take 10% of the first 30,000 he makes. Notice that he makes 50,000. So we're taking 10% of the first 30,000, as well as 15% of anything above 30,000. So these two things together get added, and that's how much you pay in taxes. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and find his taxes. We're going to do both of these things. So I want you to go ahead and find 10% of 30,000. Hopefully we're getting better with doing this quickly. So 10% of 30,000. If I were to translate this into my equation, 10% gets divided by 100, becomes 0.1. 0.1 of means to multiply times 30,000. So you could put this in the calculator, I believe, let me double check here, it should be 300, right? Oh, 3,000, yeah, okay, I was right. So there is his first chunk of taxes. We're doing exactly what they told us. We're not getting bogged down by, oh, I don't know taxes. It tells us 10% of 30,000, excuse me. Now I know it sounds confusing because it says the first 30,000, as opposed to like if he made 60,000, we could say, well, this is the first 30 versus the second 30. That makes up 60,000 total. That's all it's saying is the first chunk of money that you make. Now it's 15% of anything above 30,000. We need to think about what this means. It does not say 15% of 30,000. It says 15% of anything above 30,000. So think this through. If he makes 50,000, how much does he make above 30? The difference, right? 20,000. If I can draw a little bar here, here's all of his money. and here's 30,000. This is like a bar chart. We want to take 15% of anything above 30,000. This chunk is above 30,000. That chunk, hopefully you can realize, from 30,000 to 50 is 20,000. So we should do 15% of 20,000. That is how much money he made above 30. I know that's very confusing. We're going to work with this more later, but it really does tell us what to do, even though we don't know anything about taxes. So go ahead and find 15% of 20,000. Okay, 15%, 15 divided by 100. You promised you will always take a percent and divide it by 100. Of means to multiply, 20,000. So I'm going to use a calculator for this one. I can probably get what this is. 0.15 times 20,000. We should get another, this is just a coincidence, pure coincidence, another 3,000 for this. So this is how taxes work. Again, we're going to learn this later. But what ends up happening is these two numbers get added together. So hopefully we can see very quickly that the total taxes would be 6,000. That's a dollar sign. My dollar signs start to look like 15s because I do the line next to the curve on accident. So we're going to go ahead and actually just wrap up here on this last one because this video is getting a little bit longer. And I think we'll go ahead and just leave here. So Carl is a salesman at a store. He gets paid based on how much he sells. He gets paid 10% of his first, hey, this looks the same. 10% of his first 200 in sales, and then 15% of the rest. How much would he get paid if he sold $500 worth of items? So once again, I'll kind of give you a little setup here for how we're going to do this later. 500 is all he sold. He gets paid a chunk of the first 200, and it says 10% of that. And then what's the rest? If I'm splitting up 500, there's 200. He also gets 15% of the rest. What's left over? Go ahead and try this. It's done the exact same way as the last one. Okay, so 10% of his first 200. So I'm taking 10% of 200. Again, I'll do this a couple more times, and then eventually I'm just going to expect you to know what I'm doing to get the decimal. That's 0.1. This ends up being 20 bucks. So he's going to get paid 20 bucks because he sold $200 worth of stuff. Now it's 15%, so we know 0.15. We know that I'm going to be multiplying something by 0.15, but multiplying what? I am multiplying with the rest. Again, imagine a big pile of money, $500. There goes 200 off to the side. How much is the rest? What's left over? You should have gotten 300 then. 300 is the rest after the first 200 that he sold. So again, notice that 200 plus 300 gives us that 500. Yeah, we're like splitting this up into two piles. So he's getting 15% of that. Once again, it does not say 15% of 200. It doesn't say 15% of 500. It says 15% of the rest. So we need to know what the rest is. So we should have gotten 45. What then ends up happening is these get added together, and that's how much he's getting paid. Not a ton, because he made these sales. So we're going to go ahead and pause here. Again, I don't want this video to get too terribly long. These questions themselves, the math is not hard. What takes the longest is picking it apart. Eventually we get faster with this.